There's me, there's us. There's them. We live in Dorset. So that's me, that's her, that's them. And together we are the Bear Fam. Hey Bear Fam. Did that sound cheery? It's the best I can manage. It's Wednesday. I think it's the 6th of October, but it's something like that. This is a difficult subject to talk about without crying, so you'll have to forgive me if I make a tit of myself. But I sort of promised myself that I would start vlogging again once Ellie had moved out for a while. And she left yesterday. So I'm feeling a bit sorry for myself, I have to say. That's an understatement. I'm feeling very sorry for myself. And it is for myself, not for her. She seems fine. In fact, throughout the whole decision-making process, visiting the school, all the sort of stuff leading up to it, she was amazing. I just staggered how mature and steady she was. Very considered, very... Yeah, I mean, in some respects she'll say she had no choice, but she had every choice. Neither her dad nor I, it wasn't even a suggestion of our making. Ellie's stepsister is in her 30s, I think, now. Anyway, she was still at home when I was first with Marcus, Ellie's dad. So I know her a little bit, but she's now grown up, qualified teacher, married, and so on and so forth. So, but she was down for a weekend and she was listening to all the issues Ellie was having with the school she was at. And I think she was a bit gobsmacked because the person you meet outside of school is not the person that Ellie was presenting at school. So she texted Ellie the Sunday. Ellie had been over for a barbecue and she came home and she came through the door. She said, "I'm moving to Brighton." And I'm like, well, I won't repeat what I said. And literally she just had a text from the stepsister to say, "Look, I've thought about this. Why don't you come to the school I work at, which is an all-girls school in Horsham? You could live with me, we could make it work." And it was literally something out of her brain that just sort of erupted, that simply. And Ellie sat on the end of my bed because it was late when she came in, and I was like, part of me was like, not over my dead body ever. And part of me was like, maybe it's the way forward, maybe it's something you need to do. And I went through lots of, well, she's my baby, she can't possibly move away from me. And lots of people then pointed out to me that she's literally 16. I left school at 16 and started my first job in the adult world, as I'm sure a lot of you did. My brother left to join the army at 16 and became a boy soldier and went all the way to wherever it is they do the training up north. So I started sort of going through all that and thinking, well, no, she's not actually a baby. You just still think of her as that curly-haired, blonde little... that curly-haired, blonde little toddler that you used to hold the hand of. Let's go this way for a change, boys, shall we? I just don't fancy being weird people. Or is there cows down there? There are definitely cows down there. No, maybe that's not a good idea, boys. We'll have to go this way. Come on, I don't want to go near cows. Bloody hair's tickling my schnozzle. Anyway, so the idea got thrown backwards and forwards, and every what if came up, and most what ifs were answered. Her dad, you know, said, oh, I'll buy you a bed, I'll buy you this, I'll buy you that. You can have a home from home, you can have a fridge in your room, you can have, you know, anything and everything that she came. Not that she was looking for ways out, she was just like, well, but at home I can do this. And everybody would think about it and say, well, okay, well, we'll move the two boys. There's two young boys in the house that she's living in. We'll move them in together on bunk beds. I'll buy them bunk beds. You can have a room to yourself. Yes, you can put a lock on it if you want to stop other people coming in like the boys. Oh, hang on a minute. Anyway, she went up to the school. The first thing that happened is she went up to visit the school with her dad. I mean, Dad and I's communication has been pretty shocking. And, you know, us spending a day together just was not. Anyway, she went with him. And she came back just, like, excited. And I've never recently seen her excited about school. So... and she was like, oh, it's just nothing like the other one. There's no noise. Everybody's well behaved. The corridors aren't like a rugby scrum. The bell for changing lessons is a meditation tone. It's posh. They got lots of new stuff. Oh, heck, somebody coming. Anyway, she came back really excited. Hang on, boys, we need to take a detour because I ain't getting through there. Ooh. Why did I take a detour? Anybody want to hazard a guess? I'm going to bloody twist my ankle at this rate. Hiking over all this just to avoid people. I'm really in an antisocial mood, I'm telling you. I'm so antisocial at the moment. What happens when I get miserable and depressed is I just curl up in a ball and I don't want to see people. And people want to come and offer you support and be nice, and I can't cope with it. Can't cope with people being nice. Anyway, so yeah, she came back from that first visit like totally enamoured. The next thing that happened was that the school that she was at started to posture in a meeting that we had towards permanently excluding her for her behaviour or her inability to go to lessons. The medication that the paediatrician had given her for supposed ADHD was just making her feel totally miserable, to the point she was talking about hurting herself. So we rapidly removed her from that. And on one occasion, the school said to her, well, you can't come to school unless you've taken your tablets. And I was like, what? Whoa, stop right there. To my knowledge, my daughter's not been sectioned and is therefore not obliged to take any medication at any point in time. And she's especially not required to take medication to come to your secondary school. Oh, I was so mad. I have to say I must have been a bit of a nightmare with the school, because I just towards the end had lost my rag and my will to live. Oh, more people, why don't they all bugger off? Oh, I'm so bunged up, it's cold. Anyway, so she really liked the look of the school. I think the fact she was moving to a posh area where something like 40%, I think it might have been higher, of the girls that go to this all-girls school have got their own horses. Looking at I looked at prices of rentals to move up there, and it's just double what the price is here, double, and for smaller, really. So I don't really think that's going to happen. Oh, for God's sake. Come on, boys. Right, got rid of him. Everywhere I go and every turn I take, they seem to be following me. They think I'm rude when I turn around and go in the opposite direction. He just gave me the weirdest look. I started down the path to the left there and he followed, no, not followed me, but he was going that way too. So I turned tail, I've come round to go another way and he's like, I just can't be doing with people. Why do all people want to be together? I must be the odd one out. Like when you sit on the beach, people all like sit in the same place. Like, I'm the one that would be at the far end of the beach, as far away from all the fuckers as possible. It's just me. It's not just the fact that Ellie's not here and I'm miserable as sin. That's me, full stop. Right, Jack, I think you can go back off the lead, mate. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Oh, right. Yeah, so she came back really positive, and then the school that she was at started being really negative, which of course started swaying her towards that decision. Now, she's a really bright girl and she did have some really good forecasted results for her GCSEs. Now, I personally couldn't care less whether she doesn't come out of school with any of them. And I said to her this, I said, look, I'll pull you out of school, you can be home educated, you can take them privately, you can do them whenever you're ready, and you can just be at home. Nope, wouldn't have it. So any of you that are thinking that different, the option was on a plate in front of her even before this idea of another school came along. I wanted her at home because during lockdown she worked so well, and the staff were like singing her praises and everything was going swimmingly. But go back to school amongst all the riotous rabble and it all went Pete Tong. I think we'll go a different way today, boys. We're just going to go this way so we can come back around on ourselves, alright? Probably a bit further, but I need to wear myself out. Yeah, so the next thing that happened is that Kirsty, the stepsister, started looking at the reality of it and whether it was feasible, having said she could. And it came to pass, and I didn't even know this, nobody ever mentioned it to me, that you could do something called a managed move, which means that you stay on the books of one school and you go on to the books of another school. And for 6 weeks, you're on the books of both schools, i.e. a pupil of both. And you spend 6 weeks at the other school and you trial it. You see if it's a fit for you. If it's not, everything resets and you go back to the way things were. Now, I'd never heard of this. Nobody had ever said to me about it, because if they had done, I probably would have done a managed move to Cornwall or something, but it just never, ever got mentioned. And perhaps I'm just thick enough not to have known or researched it properly. Anyway, I've got 3 dogs. Yes, I have. So this managed move idea was floated. And, of course, the concept of moving becomes less of a mountain when you know that you can turn around and go home again if climbing the mountain becomes too arduous. And Ellie started to think. Now, Ellie wants to do well. Ellie wants qualifications. You know, I said, I'll take her out of school. No. I said, come out of school and you can do these qualifications at college next year, as the CAMS woman, mental health woman, had told me. She said, well, we can arrange that she does the course she wants to do, but alongside it, she can do maths, English, whatever, and she'll just have to start the course at a lower level for a year. And I'm like, bargain, let's do that. What do you lose by that? You can leave school now. Oh, I've got to take this coat off, haven't I? So then I started doing some independent research on the school. Found out it was in the top 10 in the country for exam results and its Ofsted rating. And realised that it was probably a really bloody great opportunity for her, to be fair, to restart, to reset, to be somewhere where nobody knows her reputation, where she's not been in trouble and has to pretend that she's still the big I am and whatever. She can start again, and she can maybe have a shot at getting some of the exams that she so wants. As I said, my preference would have been her staying home and going to college and doing it, or doing it at home. That's me. So anybody that thinks I'm the one that sent her away, I had a couple of really snotty messages from viewers saying what a bitch I was trying to send my daughter away because I'd failed as a mother and I was now taking the easy option out or something of that nature. Well, you can go F yourself, because nothing could be further from the truth. I don't want her to be somewhere else, to have somebody else mothering her. It's my job. So the next thing that happened was that they invited her back to do some testing to know not whether she could get into the school, but to know what sets she would go into. So, oh shit, cows. It was all starting to progress. Hang on, Jack, there's me trying to avoid the cows, and I managed to walk straight into a field with them in. Luckily they're at the far end, so if I quick march it across this field, I should be safe. So, her dad and I spoke on the phone. Everything was good. And arranged to go up as a threesome. So, him, I and her went back to the school. To do these tests, as she was leaning towards going, and that was her preference. Oh, you probably can't hear me because of the wind now. Oh, well, I can dub it. I'll get closer. Oh, please don't rolling. No, Junker. No. Oh, now they're rolling in cow shit. You're not rolling in cow shit. Go on. No. No. Oh, big mistake. You gotta laugh as you cry. And I'm doing quite a lot of that anyway. Come on, boys, you're not rolling in cow shit. Oh my god. You're fucking irritating. Oh, sorry. Bleep. Oh well. This is me, warts and all. So, with lots of advice and lots of support and all the what ifs answered, Ellie decided she'd give it a go for the 6 weeks. She's decided to try it for 6 weeks on this distinct and very clear understanding that if she hates it, nobody's gonna be cross with her, nobody is going to throw a wibble wobble about all the stuff that's been bought for this new school, and that she can just come home and start, well, in my opinion, I've told her she's not going back to that school. That's my one condition in this whole sorry saga, that she does not go back to that school. If she comes back here, then she'll have to wait for college or do it online, whether she likes it or not, because she wants to go to that school because all her mates go there, and that's all it is. So she's putting herself, this field. She's putting herself through all that angst because she wants to be with her mates. I worked it out finally. I mean, I should have been more. She's such a social creature that I should have worked all this out a lot sooner. So she's willing to go through hell and back just to be in the social circle, because she wants to be part of the group, so to speak. But, Jack, get up! Jack! If any of you got shite on you, you're going in the baths, so be aware. Fecking dogs. He's very happy. Look at him running around like an idiot. Don't get him to run much these days. Mr. Old Man. So we went up for the testing all together. Quite amicable. She had to be there for 3.5 hours, which neither of us realised. Jack! Fuck's sake, now you got shit all over you. Shower. Take your eye off the ball for 20 seconds. Yeah, we didn't realise she'd been there for 3.5 hours, which left him and I together, like, on our own. For 3.5 hours. Oh dear. Anyway, we went off into Horsham, went to the pub, had lunch, talked at length about the situation, about the what ifs, the buts, the ands. Oh, and the gate's locked. No, we didn't talk about the gate being locked. Come on. Of course there's cows in here. Come on, out. God, that was close. Cows coming our way. Come on, out. Everybody out. Moo, that includes you. Moo. And we had a very good conversation actually about it. I say good, but I don't know which way to go. We had a conversation anyway that whichever way I go, I've got to go back uphill. I'm not sure why I did this. Come on, more cows. I thought we'd be out of the cow shite, but there's more cow shit in here. Typical. 3 dogs to wash when I go. Oh, I've got jack shit else to do. Where's that bird sitting on there? My eyesight's needs testing. Anyway, so I saw the school, spoke to one of the main teachers for transferees. And what can I say? It's chalk and cheese. It's like a private school, to be honest. It's not a private school. It is an all-girls school, but it's not private. But it is in a very affluent area. It seems to be very well funded compared to where she was. The teachers actually seem to give her, whereas where she was, I think there was only a couple that I trusted that were really, the rest just seemed to be more about cracking the whip than actually following their vocational career choices. So decision was made that she would start, it was last week, that she would start this week, today. Today is her first day. And so buying her a bed, buying her a wardrobe, buying her new duvets, buying her everything that somebody moving home for the first time needs, really. And she left yesterday morning at 9:30. And for a while I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And I came to my senses. But then it hit me again this morning, and it feels worse today than it did yesterday. I feel more desperately alone than I did yesterday. Just, there's nobody asking what's for dinner. There's nobody moaning about the lack of snacks. There's nobody staying up late watching ridiculous telly while I'm trying to sleep. It's just all so different. I wonder. Oh, Jack! Get up! No! Oh my God! Turned my back for 30 seconds to bloody shut the gate. It's rolling in cow shite. Oh, you're a nightmare, all of you. This was a stupid move on my part. Oh, you're kidding me. How did she get down here? Quick, hurry up, move. Yeah, anyway, so I've got to find somewhere to sit down a minute. I've come the long way around on purpose. Something I wouldn't normally do, but I want to wear myself out so I don't have time to think, if that makes any sense. Oh, there's nowhere to sit. Beautiful red admiral butterfly. Butterfly. It's a bit spiky, boys. Oh, they put a bloody great fence down the side of this path. Oh well. Who cares? Oh, it's all uphill, that much I do remember. All uphill. I'm gonna have to find somewhere to stop and just have a rest. Oh, how am I just here? Nothing to look at, nobody to see. Oh. So, she's never been hysterical or upset about it. There are times when she's going on holiday or going somewhere, even sleepovers, when the thought of going away from me causes hysteria, even at her age. And to be honest, I was expecting that to kick in. And it never did. It never kicked in. I think she's a little bit anxious about having to call her sister by her title, which is a ridiculous thing, but she's been told she'll get into trouble if she calls her by her first name until the school bell goes, and then she's allowed to call her by her first name. She's worried she won't make any friends, so I'd be interested to see the report this evening, because I suspect there'll be at least 3 or 4 names coming forward straight off the bat. So, for the time being, for a 6-week trial, Ellie has moved to Horsham to live with her stepsister and his husband and their 2 small boys. And that's it really. My house is empty. I feel a bit lost because since I retired, my one purpose in life has been seeing to Ellie. Especially recently with school, because that's just been non-stop phone calls, non-stop. And even if it wasn't them ringing me, she'd be texting me non-stop to say, this teacher said that, or this teacher said that, or I've got another detention, or oh, it was never ending, to be fair. And it was starting to cause me some issues, but you know, at the end of the day, go on, let's go. That's my job. And the fact that I have an illness that affects my nervous system and makes me more emotional than most people is not her problem. So, yeah, I feel a bit redundant. Irrelevant. Irrelevant's a good word. I feel irrelevant. The world doesn't need me. That's how I feel. I know it's ridiculous. I know she'll always be my daughter, and I know she'll always come home. Well, we hope she comes home. And so on and so forth. But I can only tell you how I feel. And as I told the school repeatedly when they said to me that she was being naughty, not going into lessons, if she feels she can't, and that's the way her brain's working, I can't tell her to go into a lesson. If she's scared, anxious, I can't say anything to her that's going to make her go in that lesson. I think one of the problems schools face is that we live in an era where kids of the age that at secondary school are more mature and more grown up than we all were 20, 30 years ago. And they still treat them like they're in primary school. Well, they do in the one that she was in. And there's a lot of shouting and there's a lot of supposed discipline. And to my experience, talking to her mates, they're actually reasonable people. And to me, it seems like the trigger for them is being treated like a 3-year-old. What they actually want is a bit of respect and to somebody to actually acknowledge that they're a bit grown up. And I don't know. That's my opinion on it. I just think, and it's especially evident for the school she's gone to, where the girls are given the responsibility back, really. there's an expectation placed on them, but then there's nobody. Like in Ellie's old school, they have staff patrolling the corridors like in a prison camp, hoping to catch somebody where they shouldn't be. Now, because Ellie couldn't go into lessons on a regular basis, she was often sent by people to go to a classroom, fetch some work, come back, sit down and do it, or go on errands for teachers. Yet repeatedly she was caught by the prison warder and told off for it. And then she'd start by trying to have a reasonable conversation, say, but I was, and then she'd be told off for, what was the phrase? Oh, I don't know. Being disrespectful, can't think of the word. And that all just used to add up in her head, and she used to explode, you know, get really angry and think, well, sod you all, I'm bloody not playing this game. And she'd bugger off and hide somewhere, or it's just, I can see how it happened. I just pray to God that she can cope with this new school, and that she does have a new lease of life, and that the different style will pay off for her. I don't know, we'll see. And I'll let you know, because I'm going to try and do a little bit of vlogging. I hope to start again every day, because I've got nothing else to do, have I? Oh, I'm exhausted climbing this bloody hill. Right, well, there's not a lot else to tell you. I don't know anything else. She's still in school for the time being. It's 1 o'clock. She won't have her phone back till 3 o'clock. So I'll probably update you tomorrow as to how the day went. Meanwhile, this morning, while I was sat in bed feeling sorry for myself, a robin appeared inside my house. I shit you not, inside the house. Stupidly, I tried to grab him to start with, and then I realised that that was just ridiculous. And I went round opening all the windows, until he eventually found an open one and went, bless him, him. It's the men that have the red breasts, isn't it? Oh. So, it's been a bit of a funny day so far. All in all. Right, I'm going to leave it there for now, folks. I've got to climb this hill and I'm knackered. And holding the phone and talking to you doesn't really help. Right, take care of yourselves and each other. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. And I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Sending you love, Bear Fam. Mwah.